All right, Nick, it's time to talk about the Miami Dolphins. This is a team on fire. They're doing everything right, making all the right moves. And speaking of moves, Nick, the trade deadline had passed. A lot of teams were making moves, and Miami made some quiet ones. They weren't the big splash type plays that a lot of teams made, but they made some quiet moves. And now is the time, after a few games have passed, after all the dust has settled, to go back and kind of analyze all the moves that were made. And we're going to analyze the Dolphins' major key move here, or at least we think it's the major move that they made this past trade deadline. And we are going to tell you exactly, how much of a boost it is to this team. And this is a roster, Nick, that is looking really good right now. But Dolphins fans, in the comments below, we've got to ask you, this roster is very good, but there might be a few holes that you've noticed over the coming weeks. Where do you want to beef up this roster? And we want to know, if you could pick any three players from any other NFL team to boost this roster, who would you pick? Who are the guys that you think from another team that you see that would really boost this roster? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what do we have on the Dolphins moves?
Yeah, so one of the players Dolphins fans couldn't mention is the guy they actually got. And of course, that's their running back Wilson, who they traded for from the San Francisco 49ers for a fifth-round pick in next year's draft. And like you alluded to, Miles, it wasn't a big splash move. It wasn't a move that set the sports world on fire as kind of an all-in poker chips on the table. Here you go, we're putting everything in for this year. But I think it's going to be quietly one of the more underrated and potentially a critical move. And what really drove it to me about how critical this move could be was what Coach Mike McDaniel said after the Dolphins' victory over the Browns this weekend, talking about the running back here, talking about Jeff Wilson. This is quoting McDaniel here. Quote, "A guy like him that brings energy every time he touches the ball, I think that it's infectious. I think he electrifies the defense too, because when you're on the sidelines and you see someone punishing defenders and straining and doing everything they can for each and every yard, it makes every eligible player better." And of course, McDaniel isn't just saying this. Dolphins star defensive tackle Christian Wilkins said this, quote, "It's fun to watch him rush. I don't know who pisses him off every game, but damn." Unquote. That's according to Yahoo Sports, where I got those quotes from. And Miles, one of the things about this move that I think Dolphins fans will really appreciate, in fact, are already appreciating, is that this offense, when you have Jalen Waddle, right, when you have Tyreek Hill, this is an explosive, big play offense built on speed. But when you add a just aggressive, powerful runner like Wilson, it forces opposing defenses. They can't just go light. They can't just load up the defense with, dime defenses, nickel defenses, taking linebackers off the field, bringing defensive backs on the field, putting more pass rushers on the defensive line. This physical runner will run through those players and turn 3-yard runs into 5-yard runs, 8-yard runs into 12-yard runs. We saw that last week against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland trying to go small to try to counteract Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and the Miami Dolphins, led by Wilson, ran the ball down the Cleveland Browns' throat in dominating fashion. I'll look for Wilson when this season ends. People will look back and look at this trade to get Wilson as potentially one of the bigger moves of the year. What are your thoughts on this move and just this Dolphins offense now that Wilson's in the mix?
Well, this move makes a ton of sense, Nick. And basically, in the terms of the NFL in general now, you can't put the running duties on the back of one guy. That's kind of not the way of the NFL anymore. And we kind of talk about that on this show a lot, is running back by committee. Running back is a dying position as far as big contracts go. It's usually not worth it to go down that route anymore, especially as playtime dwindles. When all of these teams go for running back by committee, you look at, let's say, the Bills, a divisional opponent. They pick up Naheem Hines to bolster that rushing attack. You look at Baltimore, they have Dobbins, Edwards, and now Kenyon Drake, former Dolphin, who bolsters that attack. You look at the team that they got Wilson from. They got McCaffrey and Mitchell. That's another 1-2 punch at the running back position. You think even as far back as the early days of the Saints, and now Ingram and Kamara over in the Saints, that's the one that I used to remember all the time. That one stuck out to me. So having a 1-2 punch at running back, whether it's Mostert and Wilson, it was shouldering the load for Mostert wasn't necessarily the biggest thing for the Dolphins to do. They were smart to go out and get another guy. And this guy could be even better than Mostert. So having Mostert spell Wilson could also work out really well. But I think the Dolphins are being smart by not hedging all of their chips on one guy. You got to have two running backs nowadays, because it's nice to be able to swap them out. And like you said, have especially a guy like Wilson that can get you the hard yards, can turn a 3-yard run to a 5-yard run, etc.
Yeah, and there's one thing I want to highlight on specifically, and you're right on the money and when it comes to running back by committee, but I want to talk about matchups because when you look at the Miami Dolphins, they're going to run into potentially a similar dilemma that the Kansas City Chiefs ran into when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill. When teams basically just say, the heck with trying to cover these guys, we're just going to line up in a two deep shell coverage, two deep safeties, and we're going to just try to eliminate the big plays and see if the quarterback, Mahomes for the Chiefs, Tua for the Dolphins, can methodically move the ball down the field. And teams had some success against the Chiefs doing that. So what did the Chiefs try to do but fail to do continuously? Draft running backs, right? They've been trying to do it for years. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's a nice player, nothing special. Jerick McKinnon, nice player, nothing special. They got another young guy they're hoping to take over the reins at the running back. The Chiefs struggled to find a quality, powerful running back to get teams out of that too deep safety look, get him out of those light boxes and punish teams for going light on defense. The Dolphins didn't wait around the draft to make the move. That's why I think this is a really brilliant move by Greer and McDaniel. They didn't wait for a draft pick to try and find the guy. They knew the guy they wanted was the NFL. Obviously, McDaniel has connections to Wilson through the ties in San Francisco, and they went out and made the move to get him. That's what I love about this move. They knew what defenses would try and counteract their offense success with. They went out and got a guy that could just destroy that counteraction, be the counterattack to the defense's counterattack. I love it. It's smart offense. It's smart roster management, and that's why we have a Dolphins team that's one of the better teams in the AFC and frankly one of the better teams in the NFL, and they're not slowing down. They're going to continue to be a machine going forward.